Okay, this set is going to be a set on the theme of perfection. Question: how do you define perfection? How do you strive for perfection? And if you feel as though you've reached a state of true perfection, then how do you thrive on perfection? A month ago, I watched the Manosphere documentary and I saw a group of men with a skewed perception of what it means to seek perfection. Their mindsets needed a reset. They promoted a false depiction of what it means to be a man instead of being a respectable member of society and doing the best you can. In 2026, they said a quick fix was misogyny. Broken boys into fractured men, but the worst part is deep inside their minds, they believe that they are perfect. It feels wrong.
Say that again, George. Say that.
Broken boys into fractured men, but the worst part is that deep inside their minds, they believe that they are perfect. It is wrong. And after watching that documentary, it made me analyze the theme of perfection. What does it really mean? How can we be perfect? How do we define perfection? And is anyone truly perfect? In a poetic, personal sense, I can say that 5 years ago, I sat over there for the very first time. I'd been performing poetry for 2 months, and I guess you could say that I was in the process of chasing poetic highs. Poem after poem, performance after performance. If poetry's a drug, then I was addicted. Could never be restricted or afflicted. Can never not be resisted by the soft sound of a simile. And the knowledge that every line was sort of better for the use of a metaphor, and the impact was better for using it, choosing it, never overusing it, abusing it. And a great poem is like a great concert, for a great poem leaves you wanting more. And a perfectly placed line break makes you wait. And when it is followed by a perfectly placed poetic line, it's poetically sublime, for it is a poetic encore. And if the concert was a Jay-Z concert, then you could easily say that poetry never was or could be. No, if the concert was a Jay-Z concert, then you could easily say that you got 99 problems, but poetry never was or could be one. And if the concert was a Jay-Z concert, then you could easily say that you've got 99 problems, but poetry never was or could be one. And so this next piece is about finding perfection through an anxious state of mind. Let me tell you about this feeling. It's either a feeling that you're currently feeling or a feeling that you've had in the past, but trust me when I say that this is a feeling that will not last. And if this is a feeling that you're currently feeling, trust me when I say that this is a feeling that will not last, and it's a feeling that I have nicknamed trouble. T-R-O-U-B-L-E, the t-shirt that no longer fits my worried state. Are my troubles ever gonna fade away? Oh, you should be prepared for that feeling of pure elation when trouble fades away, or at least that's what they say. See, recently it seems to me as though I need to rename my trouble boomerang, for it keeps on coming back. Lately, I feel as though I need to place an L plate on my back to let everyone around me know that I am still learning how to cope. Each and every issue doubles and multiplies, so what once was a single teardrop soon turns into a deep, deep puddle. My psyche is in a muddle. It's been in and out of trouble since trouble was double. I've got trouble on my mind. Bear in mind, I've had trouble getting my head out from under the rubble. It's a struggle, it's a trouble and muddle. My trouble plus your trouble combined to ignite a symphony of struggle. Me, myself, and I, a treble that is troubling me. Or gather close in a huddle for the others to see. Feel like I'm stuck in a bubble, the precious trouble in me. I'm the first man on a new beginning, like Adam on New Year's Eve. It's more troublesome than you could ever believe. The hope amidst the trouble is what helps me achieve. It's the light that I see that helps me perceive the truth in my reality. In reality, trouble is a source that saddens me, no HP. Just a level of trouble that affects me greatly. Will I be feeling trouble when I'm 80? Does it grow or go with age? Is it doubled in the next chapter or tripled on the next page? Because my trouble is the worst of me. It's the part I tend to hate with rage. And now and then again I reminisce about the yesterdays, when all my troubles seem so far away. 'Cause now it seems as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. 'Cause when my trouble hits the hardest, it always seems as though it's here to stay. And there's always those that tell me to let my trouble be free. They say, let it be, for it's got a bigger part to play. But trouble leaves me lost and so stressed, like following a broken GPS. Trouble is obstructing my direction. Trouble in my image creates a distorted complexion. A crack in my mind's mirror leaves a state of mind in need of correction. A twisted reflection filling my mind's mirror with seeds of imperfection. You see, you have my sanity and insanity, but sometimes I wonder if the line is blurred or if between these two parts there is a distinctive connection. And whenever I am lost, I am left waiting for some sort of healing to be found. If trouble was a sound, it'd be a deafening thud or a persistent tap. When it is deafening, it sounds as though it's meddling with everything. When it's a tap, it's an inescapable voice that won't let you answer back. You see, trouble seems like double when it isn't attacked, and trouble stays like stubble if it isn't attacked. So attack it, hijack it, topple the tower of trouble, and don't be the one to restack it. Because trouble is a disease, and this disease is so tragic, so overcoming trouble is the greatest form of magic. Thank you. So, Oscar Wilde said it is through art and only art that we can achieve a state of true perfection. I guess that's why there's the phrase picture perfect, or a picture paints 1,000 words. I love paintings that look like photographs that just come to life. Like every stroke is intentional and every shade is a shade of reality. And in reality, we all strive for perfection. This next piece is called The Story of Adam. Let me tell you about Adam. He was a writer, you see, an eye for stories and exploring the many ways that life can seem imperfect. He wished that life could be more perfect and that he could be too. He felt imperfectly imbalanced and therefore wrangled by the question, why is perfection such a hard thing to pursue? If only that he knew. That it didn't matter what he did, said, or could ever do, that perfection is subjective, dependent upon your point of view. And if he knew this simple fact, he could have reminded himself of it every second, every minute, every hour of every day, but he could never shake the feeling that his life would be more perfect if he lived it in a different way. So one night he stayed up writing of a life far more exciting, a man made without his weaknesses, a flourishing flower without each dying petal. He was writing the height of all perfection to overshadow him as Jekyll. Perfection was Adam's apple, and he wanted more than just a bite. He didn't just want perfection, he craved it. Every part of it, right up until the core, gathering every ounce of perfection until perfection was no more, a pen in his hand, scribbling characteristics and hoping that perfection lands and is as clear and as visible as the pen itself, ink spilling on the pages, every ounce of his ambition did too. He wanted to illustrate and create the perfect Adam. Writing of a life far more exciting. He was writing until he could write no more. He stood up and went through the door and collapsed onto his bed. Obsessed with the version of himself he had now embedded in his head. He was taken by this fantasy, claimed it as reality, blinded by perfection so could not see that it's a fallacy. A rose-tinted catastrophe. Struggling inside like Amy Winehouse singing Valerie.
Oh my God.
Immersed in the hypothetical, drawn to something sweeter, you'd have thought he's diabetical.
That needs to say
Immersed in the hypothetical, drawn to something sweeter, you'd have thought he's diabetical. And over the next 2 weeks, he used these notes and descriptions as a template on how to be truly perfect. But the problem was that he dismissed his imperfections. He thought that it was imperfect to cry, because sadness is imperfect. He wished every day that he could coordinate perfection. He could shift, change, and rearrange his imperfections to make them go away. But then one day it all changed. He woke up at the right time, got up at the right time, checked his imperfections to make sure he was spiritually in line, got his clothes out at the right time, listened to the right podcast at the right time, ate healthily at the right time, got his favourite smoothie at the right time, combed his hair so every strand of hair was perfectly in line, everything symmetrical, nothing out of place, like an IKEA showroom, but this is lived in space. He got his shoes out at the right time, coat out at the right time, made sure everything in his house was perfectly in line, and then he opened the door, walked out with ease, and the door shut. He had forgotten his keys. And as he sat down and crumpled against the door, he had never felt less perfect. And then his neighbour, Tom, shouted out, "Adam, what's wrong?" He turned to him and he said, "I've lost my keys." And Adam, what else? "I've lost my keys and my sense of self. In pursuit of perfection, I've neglected my mental health. You see, over the last 2 weeks, I've used perfection and sought it out as the plan, but it's got to the point where I've forgotten who I truly am. Adam, it's fine, but you will go far. You can only do the best you can, but once you remove yourself of this mindset, then Adam, you will realize just how perfect you really are." Thank you. It's a story of Adam. So I couldn't do a set on perfection without talking about what's truly perfect. The most perfect thing known to man, and that's chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Candy bars. Chocolate.
Okay. My guilty pleasure snack is a treasure that I call a pleasure. The treasure is chocolate, and the pleasure is a taste that I want to remember. 5 minutes after the bar was then a bar in Potter's Bar. Reminiscing about each bar I had from January all the way through to December, do you remember? The 21st night of September, I was eating a Milky Way. And that's no hyperbole. Take away my chocolate, then you're hurting me. Slowly shifting cocoa moves like bars in poetry. The twisting twirl of rhythm takes me to another galaxy. See, I've heard no milky bars, but I've heard bars as smooth as dairy milk silk, with meaning that reaches Mars. I set my eyes upon the rhymes I find when each rhyme shifts and moves in time. I start celebrations in my mind. And a great poem flows, smooth like a river, assured in the fact that it can deliver, and every sound can twirl onto the next. And you can see a double-decker, double entendre, all within a curly-whirly interlocking lyrical line. See, a great poet is intent on deceiving and making you believe in their words, and a great poet is also a great painter, for a great poet uses their voice as the paintbrush, their words as the paint, and listening receptive minds as canvases upon which that they can create. And a poet can create masterpieces, both beautiful and bold, and when you hear a poet whisper, you hear a poet whisper gold.
Hey.
And I know that Thornton's tricks, one bar, then another bar, then sooner or later my bank account is hit. And nowadays I don't have Weetabix, instead of which for breakfast all I have is a plate full of Twix. See, there are bars for the body and bars for the soul, and poetry can make a half rhyme feel so whole. See, chocolate can taste amazing and it can fill a craving, but over time it can take its toll. Poetry and chocolate. Why don't we just enjoy the two? Read Byron with a bourbon. Read James Joyce with a Jaffa cake, although for some of you that would not be so nice. And of course, read Rudyard Kipling with a Mr. Kipling chocolate slice.
Yeah.
Poetry and chocolate. Isn't it incredible when two worlds collide? So the next time you're reading poetry, keep some chocolate by your side. Thank you.